Alright, so we're going to start with step one of painting an army fast. In this series of videos I'm going to attempt, we'll see what happens, to paint my Soviet army for a tournament that is literally in 3 weeks, 3 weeks time. So you can see I've already assembled it all. It's late war Soviet heavy stuff. A couple of vehicles, as you can see here, were pre-painted by somebody else, as a few of my infantry. I will be repainting over that. I never use other people's painted stuff. And it would kind of go against the whole thing of, hey, how do you speed paint an army? Well, get stuff that's already painted. A lot of times what I will do is, you got to kind of plan out your army, you know what I mean? Like, you can just build together the hodgepodge, but we're going to try to make something a little different here. So what I'm going to be doing is, normally I think of, what army do I want to do? If I want to do, when I did my British, I was like, no, what I want to do is all desert British. When I did my Americans, I was like, screw it, I'm going to do free French. So in this case, I'm doing 8th Guards, tanks. I'm going to have some infantry as well, but I'm going to do it in a winter theme. Now, I thought of going with the all-white paint jobs, but it'll kind of look weird. So what I'm going to do is, the whitewash paint jobs look really great and all, but it would look weird on a generic summer board. So what I'll do is I'll have the green with a bit of white camouflage on there. Normally what I want to do is, do some research and so on and so forth. So that's the first step. I mean, it's so lame, the saying of, nobody plans to fail, but they just fail to plan. It's real lame, but it actually kind of is true in this case here. Here, what I want to do is I want it all set up. I'm going to paint them in such a way to maximize my efficiency. So I'll be using a black base coat. A lot of people use a white base coat, but I'm going to be using black. Another thing you want to do is you don't want to start painting all these tanks and then realize, oh shoot, there's a better way of doing it. So what I'll be doing is I'll be using a test model. In a lot of cases I'll use a truck as a test model for vehicles, and then just a generic infantry stand for my infantry. But in this case here, I have the hull of an SU, whatever the heck this was, SU something or other. It was all broken and so on and so forth, so got a replacement one from, Battlefront sent a replacement one, but just the hull, so no tracks. So I'll probably test my paint job on this hull after I spray paint everything, so that'll be that. What else? Oh, sometimes when I do my research, especially when you look up on the Battlefront websites, do a bit more research. Battlefront does sometimes get it wrong. My biggest thing that happened to me was I was doing, again with the whole themed army, my late war Germans, instead of doing just regular late war Germans like everybody else, I did the 21 Panzers. So that's why they're all riding the French stuff that's been, orcified to put Pack 40s on top of old crappy French tanks. And there's a really neat article where a guy had painted, I think, the entire 21 Panzer. It's that same guy that's got like every single Tiger that was in the, I think his name is Tom Wise. Anyways, he painted this entire 21 Panzer army. The Battlefront stuff was, and it was, you look at the paint job, it's like, oh, that looks really cool. Then I looked on Google, I was like, well, I found actual pictures of them in the field, and the camouflage looks nothing like the Battlefront ones. And then I found the picture that I think Battlefront took the camo scheme was, there's a French tank museum, and they repainted one of the 21 Panzer, the Pack 40s welded on top of a Hotchkiss, and they repainted it, and it's not historically accurate at all. But I guess, they Googled it and said, oh, here's how they all were painted, and that's not the case. Now, a lot of Soviet tanks, historically, you got to sometimes do a little bit of artistic license as well, because historically, in mid-war, this is how everything came out of the factory. Like, they had no time to do anything. While this is historically accurate, it's also incredibly boring. So I'll be doing a bit of artistic license. I'll be putting slogans or stars or numbers on every single vehicle. Yes, I know not every single vehicle had them, but I'm doing guards, for Christ's sakes. They would have a bunch of shit on there, so whatever. So sometimes you got to do a bit of artistic license. And that's about that. So this is just like the planning phase. I've already got everything built. Yeah, so my plan is black spray. I guess I'll go over how I'm going to do the black spray as well. A lot of people don't black spray the bottom. and I'm not going to spray paint the bottom from this direction, but from a 45-degree downwards like this. So exactly like this, as if the camera is the spray can. Reason is you want to get, if you spray paint from just the top, and you know, a lot of people will be like, oh, you spray from this direction. Well, you miss all the underneath here. And so as soon as you do this, you'd be able to see it all. Now, in the past, I've gone back over by hand with black and a paintbrush, but that's inefficient. So for an extra couple of seconds, I'm just going to bomb black in this direction from this angle here, same with the other side. And then when I go to do the green, I'm not going to get it from directly from the side, but the green I'm going to get from, again, this angle onto the sides of the tracks. So it'll get the tops and a little bit of the sidewall in here, but it'll leave some of it black. So I'm hoping that that will maximize my efficiency simply by using some angles. I'm going to shut this camera off. I've got the day off today. I'm gonna see how many of these bastards I can get done today. All right, I've ran along for 6 minutes now. I will shut this down and do my first coat of paint. All right, so I have base coated everything. Let's get some light on the subject here. So as you can see, I've done the aforementioned black spray and then the green from this angle here. So they look good. There's my IS2s, and there is going to be my test hull. So my plan is here, there's multiple ways of painting a tank. You can just, literally you could just leave it just like this, paint the tracks, and then you're done. But the thing is that it's one flat color. So what you want to do is you want to bring some contrast. Now, one style that I like, even though again it's not historically accurate, is the black lining effect. Any of you who knows WWPD, WWPD Steve likes to use a black pen. This is fairly small nib, but this isn't that small. You can get this at any Staples or anything like that. I've got an even smaller one. It's 0.005 gauge. It writes, I think it's 1/5 of a millimeter across, if you're real light with it. That I used to do stuff like aircraft. So for example, this ME262 here, the black lines on it were made with the very small pen. So that's not really going to work with with the big pen. But we're doing tanks, so I'm going to use the big pen. I think what I'm going to do is dry brush a lighter color on here first. Then I'm going to hit everything up with a black wash. I still love Games Workshop washes. I think they're the best still out on the market. So I'm going to use Badass Black, otherwise known as Badass Black. I think the new one is called Nuln Oil or some shit. I don't know. I'm going to keep using Badass Black until I run out. So that's going to darken everything and get things into the creases, and then I might hit it up again with a light dry brush of whatever these greens that came with the Soviet paint set. It's probably the Russian green. So I'm going to try that. Of course, I'm going to try that on my trusty test model, and we'll see how it turns out. All right. So I just did a quick test model here. It's shiny as hell. So on one side I did just the black wash. I guess I should put something next to it so you can see the difference. Untouched. So hang on here. So that is just spray primed. I'm going to move the light around here. The light's terrible, I'm sorry. Here we go. Let's try this. Alright. So you can see on the one side, this is just straight up sprayed. This is the straight up spray with the black wash. I decided to try something, and that is to dry brush first. It actually will look a lot better in the camera than it will in real life. The color I used is actually this ghoul skin. I think the Vallejo equivalent is gray-green. I needed this to highlight my Americans, or my Free French, but it's the same color as Americans. So I don't know, I think if I wasn't putting the snow camo on there, I may go with the gray-green underneath it first, but I think it kind of looks terrible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry and attempt to, I'll go over it with one of these Russian greens. So again, if you have a test model, not a bad thing to do, you know, instead of using two two test models, do like I did here. Use one model, paint half and half. And again, normally my example is a truck, and with a truck, when you only have to repaint one half, so you really don't care. And honestly, all the work I put into my British trucks, and I didn't use them a single time in the last tournament. So they look nice, but you know, they're a lot better for test models. So there we go. We'll let this dry, and then we will see what I like more. I'm still going to keep both sides like this. I'm going to go over with the other green and see what it looks like, and then put the camo on, and then we'll see. At the very end, and only then, will we decide which will go. But right now, it's looking like the left side. Alright, so I've dicked around, and I'm going to come with a happy medium. Again, it's going to be hard to see, but you can't see the difference. What I've ended up doing is, here's my plan. It's going to be spray, and then instead of dry brushing the ghoul skin first, that's that paint that's right there, I'm going to black ink first. Then I'm going to use, you can see these two green pools still on there. The lower one is Russian green, and the upper one is Luftwaffe Camo green, which I guess is close to, they had two different types. I'm going to go with the Luftwaffe Camo green. Makes it a bit brighter green, although it's hard to see again with this. And then I'm going to hit it up with a super light dry brush of this. So now that that is solved, now we're going to have to go and figure out the camo. So I think if I use pure white, it's not going to work. It's going to look too bright, so I'm going to have to use something else. Don't know what, so we'll have to test it out. So this is why you do a test model. So from far away, you know, good from far, far from good, there's the winter paint scheme, which I like from far away, but then you get real close, and again, hang on a second here. From real close though, you won't be able to tell. It's really streaky. And that's really bright. I mean, like, look at the bling. I don't know. So now I'm going to have to rethink my strategy. But again, this is why, test model. Could you imagine if I just started doing all, like, you know, all of those? So I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board here. So, yeah, so I'm kind of stumped. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I have, a lot of times too, I like to do something in the background while I'm doing mundane crap like base coating or black lining and stuff like that. But in this case, I'm playing some Aces High and just my B17s. Yay! And there's a Juno 76 in the background there. Yeah, we're just doing some of that, and I'm trying to figure out my paint scheme while we're doing our bombing run. I just don't know. I'm thinking of inking. I know, inking this white, because it's too bright. I tried a gray, it didn't work. I did the white on top, I don't know. Just don't know. My friend Dwayne suggested doing the hairspray technique. That's just it's too much work, I think, I don't know. In the Red Bear book, they've got a really sweet color scheme, but it's almost see-through. I just don't know how they did it. But pure white, that's just not going to cut it. I might just have to go with the green, who knows. So I'm going to have to change it up. Anyways, that's that. Hopefully I'll think of something by the time I film next.